Pennsylvania State Representative Malcom Kenyatta, who's in Philadelphia, where Vice President Harris and Governor Walz will hold their first joint rally. He's also a member of the National Advisory Board for the Harris-Walz campaign. Malcom, so great to have you. First, just give me your reaction to this pick by Vice President Harris. What do you think Governor Walz brings to the top of the ticket that maybe some of the other contenders did not?
You know, first of all, you just hear this energy right here in my legislative district in the heart of North Philadelphia. People are excited about this pick, excited about Vice President Harris, and excited about her bold vision for a future that works for all working families. You know, listen, how do you pick a scoop of ice cream, okay? There's no bad way to do it. You just go and pick your favorite. And that's what she did. She picked the person who she felt, as a vice president herself, was going to be able to back her up, to give her the good advice that she needs, and somebody with a record of accomplishment. This is somebody who has mirrored a lot of the accomplishments that we've seen in the Biden-Harris administration, capping the cost of insulin, universal background checks, somebody who understands foreign policy, somebody who has served in uniform, but somebody who at his core cares about working people, cares about working families, and that's what this energy is about here today.
There is some work, though, for the campaign to do, right? I mean, 70% of registered voters say that they've neither heard of Governor Walz or don't even have an opinion about him. Are you concerned that that lack of name recognition is going to require the campaign to do some work, especially when you have less than 100 days to go?
Listen, what I know for sure is that Governor Walz is ready. He is ready to do this. Vice President Harris is ready. And for the next 90 days, they're going to be all across this country talking about how we make life better for real people in their real lives. Listen, the reality is that no vice presidential pick in living memory, has, carried a state or a lot of this conversation. What we need is somebody who the top of the ticket feels comfortable with and who they feel like can not only help them win the election, but can help them govern. The good news for us is that Governor Walz can do both. He is somebody who's going to be right at home in rural Pennsylvania, where I spend a lot of time as a statewide candidate myself. He's going to be right at home here in Philadelphia in a couple of minutes where he takes this stage. And the question is why? Why? Because he is a teacher who has spent big parts of his career looking into the eyes of young people, arming them with the things that they need to go on and live a great life. He's somebody who served in the armed forces, standing up for our values, standing up for the American people in uniform. He is somebody who has achieved big things as a governor, and we are ready for him to join Vice President Harris, and as Chairman Harris just said over my shoulder, ready to prosecute this case against Donald Trump. Donald Trump was a failed president. He is a failed candidate. And, you can pick a bad vice presidential candidate, and we see that in J.D. Vance, sadly, every single day.
All right, but I understand you're excited about the governor from Minnesota, but there's got to be a part of you as a Pennsylvanian who's worked with Josh Shapiro to be disappointed that she did not choose your governor to be her running mate, especially given the fact that Pennsylvania is so close. What do you say to critics that argue she missed an opportunity here by putting your very popular governor on the ticket with her?
I would say this, that when you are the nominee, you get to pick. And she got to pick amongst a bunch of great options. Listen, Governor Shapiro is my dear friend. And a part of what I'm happy about is that now folks all across the country have gotten to know him, gotten to know his record, gotten to know what we've been doing here in Pennsylvania, passing the largest investment in K-12 education, beginning the process of canceling medical debt, making it easier for people to start a business and to raise a family. So, I'm excited that he was a part of the process. I'm excited that the country got to know him a little bit the way that we know him here in Pennsylvania. And I am confident that he is going to go all across the Commonwealth, making the case for the Harris-Walz ticket. And we are going to win Pennsylvania. You mark my words. Governor Walz brings that Midwestern vibe that we love in Western Pennsylvania and love across the other battleground states that are in the blue wall. He is ready to talk to the voters that I meet every single day who are sick of the noise and the division and want a common sense, reasonable person to work across the aisle to get things done. Governor Walz can do that. Governor Shapiro has done that here in Pennsylvania.
So what do you make, though, of the Republican criticism that the vice president didn't choose Governor Shapiro simply because of his religion, because Shapiro's received some criticism from progressives over his position when it comes to the Israel-Hamas conflict? What do you say to people accusing of the vice president of caving to these progressives and that perhaps one of the reasons that she didn't pick him is because of his faith?
You know, one of the things that I would say is never take advice from Republicans. These same people who are talking about who Vice President Harris should have picked, they picked Donald Trump, the worst presidential candidate and the worst president that we've seen in living memory. So I'm not going to be taking advice from them or taking criticisms from them seriously. The vice president, first of all, is married to a Jewish American. And so this abhorrent idea that she is somehow anti-Semitic is vile and disgusting. Donald Trump is the person who's questioning her race, questioning, as he did with Barack Obama, her ability to, to be president, engaging in the type of racist vitriol. Yep. Donald Trump was literally just on a live stream with Aiden Ross, who has platformed multiple white supremacists and anti-Semites. And so we're not going to be taking advice from Donald Trump or from Republicans. When Republicans say do something, you take it with a grain of salt. We are going to beat them like a drum, and I'm excited to do it.
Okay, State Representative Malcom Kenyatta, who is at the site of that rally with Kamala Harris and her new running mate, Tim Walz. We appreciate you being here, Malcolm. Thank you for that.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.